Welcome to episode 11 of Should We Have Watched That?
I'm Soraya.
And I'm Amanda.
And we saw a theatre show.
We did. What is it? It is Dance After Death.
Dance, dance till you're dead.
And this was presented by Sleepingotis. The show has ended.
Yes.
We actually went on closing night. Mm-hmm. It was a ticket price of $36 and was a 50-minute show.
It was at the Hayman Theatre, so it's a bit of... It's the furthest we've gone for a Perth show. That's just because we live quite close to the CBD, and it's just very convenient to get to the CBD. And I think that's quite common for most people too.
Yeah.
Like, it's very easy to get into the city. So.
Especially when we've been doing some double features as well. It's been very convenient to jump around.
Saying that, we did do a double feature after this one.
We did.
Where we did journey back into the city.
We did, and we had to rush off.
But
did. It was a theatre-filled night.
Yeah. And the theatre was full for this one at the Hayman Theatre.
It was,
completely sold out, as Amanda said. So we actually do know... I know one person from this show. You knew at least two.
Yep.
We were a bit apprehensive about seeing it because of that reason. Because I know I was super critical going into it.
Yeah, I feel like... But also, theatre is...
It's our bread and butter.
Yeah.
It's what we know. Yeah,
it's what we know, so I feel like theatre in particular we are way more critical of than, I guess, let's say...
Well, like our housemates, for instance. Yeah. Like, we've gone to shows with our housemates who are who work in HR and as an engineer, and we've had discussions on the way home from theatre performances where we've been like, what do you mean you liked that actor? Like, what?
Just some theatre debates.
Yeah.
With theatre versus... more pragmatic, some would say. People jobs. Yeah, that's the word. Occupations. So we were a little bit hesitant because obviously we knew the people and we wanted to give our honest opinion.
Yeah.
But we went along anyway. And what do we have to say? What were our overall thoughts?
So I think that this is a new piece written by Art.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Walsh.
Who did the diploma of acting at Whopper last year. I'm particularly impressed with the dialogue for this show because dialogue is one of the hardest things that new playwrights struggle with.
Yeah.
So I think that it felt very natural and it felt easy on stage for the actors to
navigate that dialogue. Art did also act in this as well, so he was the writer, and I think he mentioned that there was another co-writer as well, but from my understanding I know that Art did write this and he did act in this as well. Which was very impressive, like Sass is saying, having finished the diploma, because obviously I do know some of these people, and putting on a fringe show is extremely courageous, and props to them.
Yeah.
For
being fresh out of a diploma and putting something on. Like it's a big undertaking. For them to just go straight, like, head first into.
And I've got to say, I think for a first debut, this was great. This was so good for a first debut from them. So I was, like I said, I was a little bit apprehensive, but I knew all of these details going into it. And I think they did a pretty stellar job for a first.
Yeah. There were some moments that I didn't love, like, so this is a 5-person cast, and I do think that they made all 5 characters main characters. I don't think it was necessary. I think that two of the girls, they could have been supporting characters, and there were a couple of scenes where they had dialogue that worked, but it just didn't work towards an end.
Like, we did have a debate about, not a debate, but just a discussion.
Post-show in the taxi back to the CBD.
In the Uber on the way to our next theatre show. And I was there kind of saying, what do you mean, to Sass? And then she explained it a bit more, and I was like, oh, okay, I think I see what you mean.
Because it just kind of felt like they added more lines, so then these actors felt like they were more a part of the project, which is it's something that happens with the actor's psyche, that we feel like we're not
equally distributed lines, and therefore
not as big, not as important in the role. But that's not how the case at all.
There are no small roles.
There are no small roles. Like, because there was one scene in particular where they were really necessary. The play could not have continued, which is what you did point out to me in the car back.
Yeah.
That there is that one scene in particular that there is no way the storyline could have continued without them there.
Yes.
So that was integral. But there's some of the other scenes I was just like,
yeah.
I could have, like, it would have been a great show without them. Without those scenes, not the characters. The characters were necessary.
Yep. Yeah, I getcha.
I also did express in the car that I didn't think the major plot, like the major complication, I didn't think it was as big.
The conflict?
Yeah, as I...
yes, you did mention that.
Yeah. It felt like there could have been a larger thing, or like, I don't know, it's in the world of the play, I thought that, because they're still in high school, they're just like finishing up, I really feel like if that happened in real life, that it would have been, like, they would have talked it out, because they're still seeing each other every day and stuff. I'm not going to go into the conflict, because if, like, it does come back, because I do think it will come back, because it was a pretty well done show.
Yeah.
I don't want to ruin the storyline, of course.
Yeah. I wonder if it was, like, how the writing process actually took place. Like, if there were things based off things that happened in real life or verbatim and then built fiction around it. Mm-hmm. I'd be curious to know that, actually, personally. Character development. I think you've kind of touched on it a little bit with your comment before. Mm-hmm. There were definitely some... I would say there were definitely more main characters. But like you were saying, I think you mentioned that there were how do I say this? Like, supporting characters that felt bigger than necessary? Yeah. Is that me putting words in your mouth?
No. That's exactly what I said, really.
Yeah. And I thought the acting was pretty good from a majority of the cast. Yeah. I wonder how different it would have been, considering it was closing night. I don't know. It's always a bit different every night. I mean, that's theatre for you, hey?
Yeah, there's actually a theatre book that's well known called
Different Every Night by Mike Alfreds.
For character development, I liked Caitlin Green's monologue when she was in the kayak. I thought that was a particularly good piece.
That was so much fun.
Yeah.
I was like, this is so ridiculous and hilarious, but also really sad. It was so wacky in like a good way. Like, you know, when you experience something in life and you're like, oh my God, this would be great in a TV series, but like nobody would ever really believe me. Yeah. If I told them that this was the truth. A few days, the last few days we've kind of had, actually. So I really enjoyed that. I also really, I mean, this isn't favourite moments, but I'm sure I'll have a favourite moment, but I really enjoyed the collaborative ensemble monologues that was a big monologue, but...
It was almost like popcorn read.
Yeah, but personal as well. I thought that was really clever, and I really enjoyed those bits. I think I was a little bit confused by some direction. I think I mentioned this in the car as well.
You did, yeah.
Where it felt... I think it was... I don't know. This was just my perspective on it, where I think they were trying to do an abstract moment, but where they were circling, doing the figure eights. Yeah. But it almost took me out of the importance of what they were saying in that moment. Because I thought that once they actually stood still, that's when I absorbed and consumed the information best and was more connected.
Yeah, and considering when they were doing that, it was during a speech.
Yeah.
Where, like, it would have made sense for, like, it would have made theatrical sense for them to be still during that moment. And something that's really beautiful is when actors are comfortable enough to be still. No shuffling, just still, and they're sharing this piece. And I feel like if they'd done the popcorn reading still, then it would have had a bigger impact on at least us.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's the thing, right? I mean, it's so subjective as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this goes for all of our Fringe shows that we have seen. Even like Bogan Shakespeare, I think we had to take that with a grain of salt because a lot of the jokes went over our heads and therefore we just couldn't understand them, probably didn't enjoy them nearly as much as a Perth local would.
Yeah.
Dialogue, we kind of already spoke about.
We have spoken about dialogue. I liked it.
Yeah, me too. I thought it was
easy.
quite nuanced as well.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed...
Oh, sorry. You go.
Oh, no, I was going to say I enjoyed the kind of quote-unquote popcorn reading monologue. I think they were essentially a few of my favourite moments with the collaborative ensemble monologues.
Yeah. The only bit that I didn't like about the dialogue is that, again, I think it was very well written, but sometimes the actors, they didn't separate the thoughts of what had been written. And that kind of took me out of it, that, like, I could tell that there was supposed to be two separate thoughts there and they'd kind of merged it into one. But that's also a direction thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Set
confused me.
The crates?
The crates. They were great for some things. And then other things I was like, just, why are you there? And so, like, they have a huge amount of milk crates on the stage. I want to say maybe, like, 20, 24.
Yeah.
And they just move them around, like, when they're giving that speech, really well...
Pedestals.
Like, great use of them.
Yeah.
Caitlin doing her monologue in a kayak, great use for it. But then, at some point, it was just, like, a wall at the back, and then every so often, like, they used it as chairs, and it just felt... unnecessary sometimes.
Or disconnected at times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it at the beginning as well, on top of what you've mentioned, where it was like the party scene.
Yeah.
And art kind of falls through them.
Which I think is a great use of it.
Yes, because obviously it's something that can be moved around, fixed around pretty easily, but obviously in that moment it collapses for the effect that you want.
Yeah, and it's safe for art to collapse onto.
Although I did see a few, like, scars on her shins, and I was like, oh gosh, is this from every night collapsing through the crates? I don't know, he'll have to tell us. And I was thinking, please stay safe. And then it was essentially, well, this can kind of feed into lighting as well. We had... what is it? Kind of the circular
like
lighting.
Like a big spotlight that was like
onto the wall behind them.
Like a dawn dusk kind
of set.
Yeah.
And went down. And then obviously the party lights. I think there was a disco ball, is that correct? Like at the very top. I liked the use of the set and the lighting in particular in Art's monologue at the very end.
Yes.
I thought...
Me too.
I thought that was actually...
I think that's my favorite. I've already written it in the review. I'm sorry, I'm taking it. I mean, you can have it too, but, like...
Damn it.
Yeah, well, but I didn't actually mention the lighting, but I just did think that Art's monologue at the end was my favourite bit.
Yeah. I thought that was beautiful. Like I said, I loved the ensemble monologues as well, but I think his monologue at the end got to me a little bit.
It was connected, and it was... every physical movement he made sense. He wasn't moving for the sake of moving.
Yeah, it was purposeful. And the use of the stage as well to be on the sides, the
wings.
The wings. I was going to say the VOMs.
Yeah, the VOMs.
And both of them.
Yeah, and it was Hayman theatre specific because you won't always have that.
Yeah,
like you wouldn't be able to do that at, say, like the Heath Ledger.
No, so it was site specific, which I love.
Yeah,
I love site specific things so much. And And he used both ends, and it was, like Sass was saying, very purposeful, and it kept you engaged because you literally would have to physically move to watch him do this monologue.
Yeah.
Favorite moment?
Okay, it's going to be a shock, but Art's monologue at the end. I think it's just a no-brainer. It was, did not suffer he did not have that same problem that I mentioned earlier about dialogue, about having disconnected thoughts. They were all very connected. You could see what he was seeing. You could feel his, like, not his pain, but his disconnection from the world and his hurt over it.
Powerful.
It was a beautiful moment, and I think he should be really proud of if he wrote that as well as acted that. That's beautiful.
I was gonna also say, I wonder if that did give him a leg up if he did write it. Because then you've obviously been mulling over it.
Yeah.
But it's a weird, as like an actor as well, it's weird because sometimes you mull over it too much and then it becomes stale.
Yeah.
So I wonder if in his case this was to his advantage. And if it was, I mean, take it. Kudos.
Yeah.
Look.
I wonder what yours were.
I'd definitely say Art's monologue. I also really loved Caitlin's kayak bit. And I've mentioned the ensemble monologues that were also personal but connected as one monologue.
They were very good timing-wise for that.
Yeah. The rhythm was great for those.
They didn't drop no one was overstepping on the last person's last word or leaving too much of a gap. It was very...
Yeah.
It was good.
Pacey.
Yeah.
In all the right ways. Like, not super, like, hasty, but...
You can still hear them. You still...
Yeah.
Yeah.
You understood it. And also, I think in particular, the writing of the dramatic irony with... This got me really emotional, and I don't know why. I was telling Sass in the car that I hope that a situation like this never happens to me, and I just start over-analysing and overthinking. My little brain. My little silly brain.
Little monkey brain.
Where the audience knew... so Art's character is in love, I guess, with Caitlin's character, and...
Something happens to Art that is Caitlin's character's fault.
Without her realising.
Yeah.
But the audience knew that, hence the dramatic irony of it. And I thought that was very clever for her to stay in being oblivious to you know, the repercussions of her
inaction. Almost,
I suppose. And all I could think about was, oh, like, gosh, I hope that never happens to me with someone important in my life, and I never know. But also, I don't know what I would do myself if I did know that. And I immediately kind of, like, thought of my dad, and I was just, like, I was bubbling a little bit. But that was just me and my silly brain. Me and my silly brain. But if that's the effect they were going for, you got it.
You got Amanda, at least.
Yeah, you got me. You got me. Oh, my silly overthinking brain. So 3 words.
3 words. Alrighty. I'm gonna go for lies. That's to do with the plot. No, like... Not the premise of the show, just lies within the show.
Storytelling lies.
Storytelling. Debut.
That's a good one.
Thank you. I thought of it myself. And local, because these are all local actors.
Yeah.
From what I understand.
Yeah.
I think local creative team.
Yeah. I'm super proud of them for doing this.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't do it straight out of the diploma.
No.
Like...
So huge applause to them. Snaps. If you know, you know. I would say... This is going to be more than 3 words already. Coming of age.
Oh, we've put some hyphens in, apparently.
Hyphens. Mm-hmm. So that's 1 word. Take that. Also to do with story. Navigating. that's also to do with story, and I guess that goes hand in hand with let's put them together, navigating coming of age, but it's going to have a hyphen and a comma in between. But read them as one. And non-linear or non-chronological.
Yeah.
And I love a non-linear timeline because I feel like I hate when theatre gets shoved in my face.
Yes.
And in a way that is where the writing tells you exactly how you should be feeling, or they don't think that you're smart enough to understand the plot.
Yeah.
And so I love a non-linear or non-linear or non-chronological timeline because I get to piece it together as the journey goes.
Yeah, and the writers know that the audience is clever enough.
Yeah,
to
keep
keep
put
up
it together.
Yeah, audiences aren't idiots, which is I think why we've been kind of staying away from a huge amount of theatre.
Yeah,
because we don't want to watch theatre that makes the audience feel like they shouldn't be there, you know?
Yeah.
But this show didn't do that.
No, even if I have a silly brain, but for other reasons. Yeah, so that kind of wraps up today's episode, guys. That is Dance
After Death.
After Death.
Should we watch that?
I'd say so.
I agree. It's not, like, I didn't not enjoy it. It was just, we are hypercritical of theatre.
Yeah.
That's kind of it.
Because
really.
it's our genre.
It is.
It's a genre. And this was in the theatre and performance / drama genre. Speaking of genres. How many times have I said genre?
So as we said earlier, we did do a double feature. We will be reviewing The Way Deep directly after this podcast.
And this was presented by Indigo Productions.
Yeah, so keep an eye out for that one. I've been Saraya.
And I'm Amanda.
And we'll see you later.
Catch you in the next one. Bye.